It's June 16th, 1960, and outside two New York cinemas, the DeMille and the Baronet, long lines of people are waiting for the premiere of Alfred Hitchcock's latest movie. Packed theaters were nothing unusual for the renowned director at that time. However, his new work, the thriller Psycho, logically, was vastly different from his previous films in many ways. To begin with, no one wanted to produce the movie. Producers considered it too violent and overall too strange. But Hitchcock was convinced he had an exceptional script and decided the film had to be made at all costs. He financed the entire production out of his own pocket and, to save money, chose to shoot in black and white, which was cheaper. Despite his certainty that he was creating something special, he had doubts about how audiences would receive it. To take a bold step, he made a declaration. Psycho had to be watched from start to finish, and those who arrived late would simply be out of luck. Theater owners protested, arguing that no one would come under such conditions. In reality, the opposite happened. Alfred Hitchcock was born on August 13, 1899, into a family of merchants in what is now a suburb of East London. Although he had two older siblings, his childhood was relatively solitary. The young Alfred, chubby and shy, had very few friends and was raised under a strict upbringing. In addition to attending a Jesuit school where corporal punishment was common, his father employed unconventional disciplinary methods. On one occasion, he sent Alfred to a police station with a note for an officer. After reading it, the officer locked the boy in a cell, saying that this was what awaited naughty children. This episode left a lasting impression on Alfred, who developed a fear of the police that persisted into adulthood. Later, Hitchcock began studying engineering, learning about mechanics, acoustics, drawing, and economics. During World War I, he was too young to enlist in 1914. And when he was eventually called up in 1917, he was only assigned light duties, including theoretical training and weekend drills. After the war, he wrote short stories for the Henley Telegraph magazine, where he was offered a position in the advertising department. Although he was doing well, his personal life was monotonous. He seemed to be a silent observer of the world around him. To experience real emotions, he turned to cinema, which would soon change his life. Hitchcock's routine took a turn when the American giant Paramount Pictures came to London to open a new studio under the famous Players Lasky brand. Hitchcock applied for a job and was hired, initially designing title cards for silent films. Although this may have seemed like a minor role, it allowed him to observe the filmmaking process closely and learn more about the craft daily. When Paramount left London 3 years later, Hitchcock began working as an assistant to director Michael Balcon, who led the company that would later be known as Gainsborough Pictures. During this crucial period, Hitchcock started a relationship with Alma Reville, who would become his wife and lifelong collaborator. Balcon also sent him to Germany, where Hitchcock absorbed innovative techniques from the burgeoning European film scene. In 1925, Hitchcock directed his first movie, The Pleasure Garden, though not without problems. He forgot to declare the materials at customs, resulting in their confiscation, and he went over budget, forcing him to borrow money from the actors to complete the film. Despite these setbacks, the movie was released. In the following years, Hitchcock established himself as a recognized director, thanks in large part to Alma's collaboration. She read every script and provided feedback he trusted implicitly. In 1928, their only daughter, Patricia, was born, and the following year, Hitchcock directed Britain's first talking picture, Blackmail. His breakthrough success came with the thriller The 39 Steps. Swing, starring Madeleine Carroll, the first of Hitchcock's famous Hitchcock blondes, a hallmark of his films.
My shoes and stockings are soaking, though I think I'll take them off.
It's the first sensible thing I've heard you say.
Can I be of any assistance?
No, thank you.
Sorry.
Here, hold this.
Oh, yes.
Hitchcock began to be known as the master of suspense and enjoyed playing with his audience. One of his trademarks was making brief appearances in each of his films, challenging viewers to spot him. Alfred Hitchcock not only displayed talent and ingenuity, but also harbored ambitions that soon extended beyond Britain. It was time to conquer Hollywood. Upon arriving in the United States, Hitchcock realized how far his fame had reached. Americans were well acquainted with him and had high expectations for his first Hollywood film, Rebecca. Produced by David O. Selznick, the shoot wasn't easy, as Selznick closely monitored every detail and often questioned Hitchcock's decisions. However, Alfred managed the pressure in his own way, filming each scene so meticulously that it could only be edited one way. Though Selznick complained, the film won the Oscar for Best Picture, marking an outstanding debut for Hitchcock in Hollywood. From then on, Hitchcock began making one successful film after another, including Shadow of a Doubt and The Spellbound, the latter featuring Ingrid Bergman, Gregory Peck, and a dream sequence designed by Salvador Dali. Beyond captivating scripts and big stars, Hitchcock stood out for his profound understanding of cinematic art, always finding innovative ways to tell a story. In 1948, he released his first color film, Rope. In 1955, he became a U.S. citizen and premiered To Catch a Thief, starring his favorite blonde actress, Grace Kelly. It would be one of Kelly's last films before marrying Prince Rainier and becoming Princess of Monaco. Hitchcock's greatest success came with the television series Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Which made him a household name not only for his films, but also for his charisma and sharp sense of humor. In the 1950s, Hitchcock felt increasing pressure to outdo each of his films. After the successes of Vertigo and The North by Northwest, he found what he believed was the perfect story: Robert Bloch's novel Psycho. He bought the book's rights and all available copies to keep the plot secret. Since studios refused to finance the project, Hitchcock used the crew from his TV show and shot the film on a tight budget. In less than 3 months, he films what is now a legendary movie about a woman who is murdered in a remote motel run by the peculiar Norman Bates. The result was legendary. Psycho, with its iconic shower scene consisting of 45 seconds and over 60 cuts, revolutionized horror cinema. Made for $800,000, it grossed over $50 million, solidifying Hitchcock as a true star. After the Psycho, Hitchcock directed other hits like The Birds, Marnie, Frenzy. However, by the late 1970s, his health began to decline. Facing the fleeting nature of Hollywood fame, he turned to alcohol, worsening his condition. By age 80, suffering from arthritis and without a project to keep him occupied, he felt lonelier than ever. In 1980, Queen Elizabeth II knighted him, but just 4 months later, on April 29th, Alfred Hitchcock passed away from kidney failure. Hitchcock never won an Oscar for Best Director, despite being nominated 5 times. He remains the director with the most nominations in that category without a win. Nor did he receive an honorary Oscar, but his legacy transcends any award. More than 40 years after his death, his name remains synonymous with suspense and cinematic excellence. Alfred Hitchcock wasn't just a master filmmaker. He created a brand that continues to captivate generations of viewers with mystery and intrigue. His impact on the history of cinema remains unmatched,